And yeah, so I worked on some one project when where they use essentially components for their partner portal application. So in that case, they're so they are using some component for showing out the information who have logged in and the permissions for him on this particular component. Based on the current user login, I will be passing the attribute to this component from this apex attribute, so that if that guy so my function will automatically check whether that guy have permission to what permissions you have in the portal, and that's what it shows on the component. That's the scenario which I'm explaining you with user components and salesforce.com sites. Okay, so coming down to salesforce.com, they have other product called site.com, okay, which is useful for content management and putting down the products and information on salesforce site.com. Okay, so this is for publishers who want to build sites with Salesforce. You can really quickly build sites by drag and drop. Okay, by pulling the products from the products tab, I can put it down on my Salesforce site and I can show it to all the people. And there is some ways to integrate my sites with Google Analytics API. For suppose if I want to check how many people have visited my site, how many people have clicked on some links, all this stuff I can track with Google Analytics. Okay, to integrate with Google Analytics, they'll be sharing some ID to you that you're gonna map with um, Google Analytics tracking tag. Okay, you have to put the tag in my page so that it automatically tracks uh, all the visits of the page, all the how much time the person is staying on the page and everything. You can track it. Okay, and preview as admin is also a site tag. These are all two tags. Okay, this site tag is useful to show you a button on the page. When you click on that, you can preview as an administrator. So generally, um, as you're using as an end user, right, you can't see all the features there. But if you want to see the same thing as administrator, you can click on preview as administrator button. So it show everything as administrator. It shows all the data on the screen on the page. Okay, and messaging. So okay, there is I showed you how to create email templates in our system in the communication templates, right? You create letterheads, you create HTML templates, and again there's a free text template also. And with and without HTML layout, HTML templates are there. And the fourth one is Visual Force template. For that, we are going to use the special tags like messaging called attachment, messaging.email header. These are all you're going to configure with the Visual Force, okay, for creating Visual Force templates. So this tag is useful for attaching the document uh, to your email template. Email header, it adds custom email header to the email template. It adds it defines all the UI things in the email template, all the colors, images, what you're using it. Okay, and HTML email body is the main page where you define each and everything. I think email template is the starting tag, defines the email template. Okay, and email HTML body is the body tag. Okay, and you can define even the subject and stuff. Plain text email body also you can define with you can define with this tag plain HTML body in Visual Force email templates. Generally, when you want to show dynamic data on the page by calculating some values, okay, so the best way the best way to create templates is with Visual Force templates, because we can take the help of Apex with Visual Force programming, and you can modify the content what you are showing it on the page. Some custom content very specific to users. Okay. Still, I can do the same thing with drag and drop with HTML template also with inbuilt layout. There are some limitations for that. So this is having very more advantages than that, but you have to spend time in this scenario for building these templates with Visual Force programming. You have to spend a lot of time, and you have to build everything manually. Okay, by programming with these tags. And after finishing this messaging tags, okay, there are we are going to some application tags, application specific tags like ideas tag. What is ideas? Along with sales, call center marketing, Salesforce is giving a community application. Means they are having some ideas inside it. Okay, so if your company is implementing ideas, and if you want to include these ideas components inside your VF pages, yes, you can use this idea tags. Why so if you're using if your organization is using ideas means employees or customers can post the ideas, and the other people, the same employees or customers and partners, anyone can vote the ideas, and the best ideas you are going to pick it for implementation. Okay, for that case you are going to use ideas. If that is the requirement, you might keep these ideas in some pages like um, home page like this. You can build some custom pages. You can embed these ideas components in all the pages so that every employee or every person who is accessing Salesforce can see this. You can even put on these ideas in their customer portal and even partner portal also, so that they can create ideas and vote for them. These are the special tags for this. For showing the detail page of ideas detail output link. If you click on this particular output of this tag, it takes to the detail page of the idea. If you want to show the list of ideas, yes, it displays the list of ideas link. Okay, so you can also show the link of the user profile linked with that idea. That I can do that with this tag. Okay, so means I can embed this ideas application in other third party applications also, means in other VF pages and stuff with these tags. So if your customer asks you to build some page which is having charter, I can use the charter feed. I can use the knowledge API. I can use the knowledge application tags, idea apps, all these things in one page, so that I can make this as a home page also. Sometimes if that is required, I can see all the things at one place. Same way, so this is useful for that. And same way for knowledge management also, you can see the knowledge articles list, knowledge render toolbar which refresh automatically. Okay, when you're means when you're trying to support some cases, if I want some knowledge articles based on the current issue, I can use this knowledge application to recommend some articles related to this case, so that by seeing this article the support guy can fix the issue of the customer. Okay, same way you can even embed charter feed, charter with followers, all these options. You can add charter UI widgets to your current VF page with these tags. And workflow. So this component will show you the process workflow. So you can embed the workflow into your page by using this tag. Okay. Let's talk about global variables now. Why we use global variables. So these global variables reference important information of the current users and organization information. For suppose if I'm working on a page, I want to know the profile ID, okay, of the current user. So that profile based on the profile ID, I can search the settings and I can show the options required for this guy. For that, dollar profile is useful for showing the profile information on the page. Okay, dollar profile, see, current user profile dot ID name. I can bring down the information of that with that, and so these are all the global variables. If I want to know the current page, if I want to know the current page URL, parameters, reference name, and URL of the current complete URL of the current page, yes, you can use this dollar current page, okay, and dollar component. You can reference this within. You can reference the other component from JavaScript here in the page. Okay, dollar component and dollar API. So you can use the API URLs in the current page, and even you can also show the session IDs of the current logged in user. With this information, I can get it, and I can also get standard actions on the standard objects from this. Sorry, on all the objects with this dollar action. I can bring down the actions onto the page, what all the person can do, like save, edit, all these operations on all the objects when you are using standard controller. Okay, and dollar page will get you the current page, current Visual Force page information. Dollar organization will bring you the current organization details. So so if you are a user, you are belonging to some organization, means instance. You can get the information about the organization of your company, that is your company, from your company profile page into this VF page by using dollar organization. And you can also get the metadata object access with dollar object type also. Okay, and dollar resource for static resources. You can what all the things what you are uploading the static resources into the, means you are uploading you are uploading images, CSS files, JavaScript files, and everything into static resources. You can use them with dollar resource. You have to use this particular word when you are referencing them in the VF page. If it is image tag, apex image, so in the URL, see, I have to use this apex image URL. Inside it, I have to put URL for dollar resource dot test zip, because this is a zip folder which I uploaded into static resources. Inside the zip folder, there is a subfolder called images. Inside it, there is a blue.jpg is the image which I want to reference. That's what I'm doing it here. Apex apex image URL equal to curly bracket exclamation mark URL for dollar resource dot zip images blue.jpg. This is what I'm using. So when you are trying to reference the static resources, you are going to use this particular dollar resource thing. Dollar setup, you can reference the custom hierarchical custom settings, setting values onto the page. Okay, you can reference the site information such as domain name information into the page. You can get the system date, origin time, all this stuff, the current value of the date in this format. Oh, the default date of the system origin date is 1900. You can get this value. Why we use this? If you want to find out the current time, means um, current time, I can subtract the current time with this so that I will get the number of years and time between this distance between this. That's useful to figure out when the record is being created. Okay, see, the default system origin date is this. This is the literal value which is configured like for 1900 Jan 1st. Okay, dollar user is the information about the current user. Dollar user role, this is the information about the current user roles information. Profile, for current user profile. This is how you are going to use static resources. So you generally upload style sheets, images, JavaScript files into the static resources. Sometimes, if you have many of these documents, what you do is you upload in a zip folder, and you're going to reference this with directly like this. If you are not uploading with zip folder, you can directly reference them with the name of the file. Okay, you don't use the this name here, the zip folder name. Okay, and coming down to the Apex support tags. So what attributes are helpful to connect VF page with Salesforce, VF page with Apex controller classes. So these are the tags. So yeah, so why we use action tag? So we use action attribute a lot. Okay, to invoke act functions from the VF page, Apex functions from the VF page, right? We can use action tag even in the top page tag also. Whenever the page is called, you can call that action automatically. That you can do it. You can use message tag to send messages to the screen to the page. Got apex.messages tag. Apex called message tag. So this message tag is useful to send messages, usually for errors, and page reference to get the current reference of the VF to the current VF page. So So when you are trying to means when you are working on VF pages, if you want to know the ID of the last means which you are passing as a parameters, you are going to use page reference method further to get the ID of it and get the related record information from the backend. I'll show that in standard controller examples and combination of standard and custom controller extension class examples also with the page reference method and select option. Yes, specifies one of these values like select. You can use it for select checkboxes, select list or select radio components. Standard controller, it references the standard Salesforce controller. This is the attribute inside the VF tag. So there is a custom means controller also, standard controller, and standard set controller is useful to reference the set of items to be means for the particular object which you are mentioning inside it. These two things we use it from VF page. Okay, so if you are using this thing, you don't need to set any you don't need to write any logic for querying the data. So Salesforce already provides help for standard controllers for saving the record, for showing information on the page, for taking the values from the page to the backend. All these things will be already given by Salesforce. If you have a requirement like this, yes, you can build a VF page with standard controller, and you can change the front-end UI by changing the CSS of the page. For that, you upload some CSS into the static resources, and you can assign the classes to each and every components inside the VF page. That's cleared, okay? But what happens when your requirement is completely custom? If they're asking some custom methods also, then you have to choose custom controller completely. It depends on the how much they are asking custom requirements. Okay, clicking on close. Today, now we are going to work on the Apex cheat sheet. So this is the next cheat sheet which I'm going to cover. That's the reason I'm using this. Okay, yeah. First of all, we talk about Apex code. So Salesforce.com Apex code. Again, don't worry about Force.com. Force.com is like a platform. So there are some partners who take organizations from Salesforce and build custom applications for means for inventory management, for HR application like this. So you can also use Salesforce like a platform, not like a CRM SaaS tool, okay? Like a platform as a service. So I can take the Force.com platform and I can build my custom applications, and I can sell this application to my customers. That's what ISV people do, ISV companies do. Okay. So for Apex code is a strongly typed programming language. Okay. If you're means it's like similarly like Java. Okay. It executes only on Force.com platform. It won't execute outside. Using Apex, you can add a lot of logic to your application. You can add custom logic to your application. That's the only intent. Okay. So what happens? And when we use Apex, I will talk about after finishing this. Okay. So you can write triggers with Apex code only. Okay. The code what you're writing inside triggers is Apex code. And so you can help the front end VF pages by sourcing proper data from the Apex language only. Okay. So Apex have tight integration with the database and query language in Salesforce. Okay. So that's the reason you don't need to put any database connections. You simply you query and insert the values into the system, okay, by putting the proper object names. And so you can also build strong web service integrations also with Apex, and also you can also do email handling also, because email services is a concept in Apex where you can even handle the inbound emails also coming from other system. It also includes features like asynchronous execution and support for testing also. Okay, so you are going to add asynchronous execution with future methods, add future annotation, so that if you're not having any proper resources to execute the current logic now, you can run this asynchronously after finishing the available the queued methods, and later on you can execute the future method. And so Apex also supports testing with Apex test classes. So these are the some of the important keywords which I'm talking about. Okay, about Apex. So the abstract keyword is useful to define the abstract methods and classes. Okay, so the abstract method will be having only the signature but don't have the method, but don't have the inside lines. Okay, they don't have the body inside it. Okay, this method is useful to define the abstract method. Okay, and we generally uh, implement them from other methods, from other classes also. So, and the break keyword useful to break the current executing loop and bring it to the end. So it exits the entire loop. And we also use exception handling in Salesforce with try, catch, finally keywords. See, if you are trying to insert some data into the system, you put that in try logic. If there's any data validation issues or any errors, you're going to fire the catch loop. Okay, if that is running really perfectly, it won't execute catch. There's no exception, there's no value you need. Okay, So these three keywords I will use it. The family keyword will come later, and the track keyword also will come later. And class is useful to define a class. So again, there are you can define class in three ways: private, public, protected. Global class also is also available for writing global classes. When you are integrating your system with other systems, they can call this global class from other systems also. When you're defining private class, you can so all the you cannot call this private class from other classes. Okay, but coming down to public class, you can call this class from other classes also from the same organization. Global class, you cannot call it outside means you cannot call it. Sorry, global class can be called even from outside organization also. So for suppose if SAP is trying to hit our URL and call some Apex class, if there is a requirement, have to create the global class in this scenario. Okay. Coming down to continue keyword, so this keeps the one iteration of the loop. If the condition is satisfied, I'm going to skip the loop. Okay. Break keyword is quite opposite for that. It completely breaks it and it exits the complete loop. And do while. So these are all the loops. While is a loop. Do while is another loop. In do while, you are running this at least one time. You are running this code, but in while, you are going to run this code only if this condition is satisfied, right? So coming down to else, so if else, so if there is something, if this condition is true, I'm going to execute this code. Otherwise, I'm going to execute the else logic code inside the else log. Okay. Enum is called enumeration. Okay, and you can define the enumeration types like winter, spring, summer, fall for season. For suppose if you are building some requirement and we have some four flags: red, green, and yellow. Okay, so red means it's danger, yellow means medium, green means safe. These are the three stages inside system. I can assign these colors to some stages to some enumeration type, and I can assign some value. Okay, based on the conditions what's happening inside my VF page. The same status I can show it on the page also with some different colors. If enumeration type equal to green, I'll show them some green color there. Okay, so in this scenario, I'm using winter, spring, and summer and fall enumeration types. See, I can assign the season is enumeration type now. Season E equal to season dot winter means now this is E will be having the winter value. Okay, and extending. Okay, so you can extend another class or interface from one class. So you are extending exception class in my exception class. Okay, so exception is a standard interface, and you are building your own exception class. That's my exception or my page exception like this, and you are trying to extend this exception class. Okay, and you are writing some logic inside it for handling the exceptions. And false. False is the value you can assign to boolean values. False and true. Boolean values will take only these two values. It won't take other value. Okay, like true for checked values, false for unchecked values. Okay. So first of all, we'll after learning the keywords, I will introduce how to code. Okay, how to call methods and stuff programmatically on the editors. Okay, directly on different editors, because again there are different ways of programming Apex and Visual Force pages. So I will show all the ways, starting from on the page, on the developer console, on the create develop module, and even in the Eclipse also. Okay, so the important reserved keywords here is final. Okay, So so if you want to define some constant which you don't want to modify, you can define with final keyword. Okay. So as I said, finally is the other method. You can run execute it after try catch. You can execute finally. So this logic will be executed even though if the exception is means if there is exception or not. The finally keyword. Okay, and coming down to the for loop, yes, you there are multiple for loops in Salesforce. Okay, so you generally see this type of for loops in other programming languages. For I equal to 0, j equal I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. So you are initializing some value, you are checking the condition, and you are incrementing it in the same step. But what happens in Salesforce is you are using different for loops, which you don't see in other programming languages. For suppose you have list of accounts, that is a list of integers. Okay, so integer minds equal to new integer 189 means in this list there are three values. Okay, I don't need to mention there are three values here. I equal to 0, I equal to 0, I less than or equal to 3, I plus plus. I don't need to give this in the scenario of this. Simply I have to give integer I, my integers. My integers is a list of integers which is having three values. Now this for loop will automatically run three times because of the size of this list is three. It automatically gives one by one value to this system.debug statement which prints my values, that is 189, onto my debug log without putting all these conditions. This is they are minimizing the effort of developers. So this is the same way you are going to use for loops inside or programming. When you are querying accounts, contacts, opportunities, and everything, you can print it in the same way. And same way, I can do one more. I will show one more for loop. Now, in the same for loop. So this is the for loop starting line. In this for loop, what I'm doing is account A colon select ID name from account where name like this. So if there are five names with starting with yes, that five names I'm copying into a list. So when I'm searching this query with this information with select ID name from account where name like this, I'm creating a list. Okay, there are five values in this as I said, starting with yes. Okay, that five values I'm passing to this with account A means I'm going to pass this for loop five times. The your code will be executed five times, and I can put all these five values. I can do some logic for these five values. Remember, I'm using some query inside it with some lot of filters. And the result I'm passing it to some for loop directly in the same line. Okay, and let's talk about global class. Okay, so these are the different for loops we use. Okay, we mostly use this type of for loops. We use less number of for loops like this because this is a simple loop which you are dealing with some values like 0 to 10. But in coming down to Salesforce, we deal with a list of records, list of leads, list of contacts like this. So that's the reason we deal completely with this type of for loops and this type of for loops. Okay, and I will talk about the collection types. I generally describe you to today's class, and after that, I will show some demo how to use collection types. Okay, and what are the methods and stuff. This is the global class. Why we use global class? We use global class to give the permission to execute this class from other systems. The global classes can be executable even by the third-party systems also. That's the reason when you are trying to share some data to the other system. Yes, I can use this class. So global. class name. Web service is a method which I have to use when I'm trying to create web service methods. This is the keyword again. I will show. I will see. You can see it in the next thing. This is a static method again, and it returns void. Yeah, I can return some work here. So what happens? So this method which I'm seeing here is I can create some contact inside the system with the last name which I'm passing to this method directly from any other system. If I'm calling this class from SAP and I'm sending some information like last name, phone number, email, I'm going to create a contact directly with that call. This is a web service method. I'm doing some work here. I'm not returning any value. That is the reason I kept void here. If I'm returning some response, that is contact created, I can use contact as a return item, and I can return the values which is saved in the system. Okay, and yeah, let's talk about this in coming classes. And if loop. So if loop is useful to means it's a condition. If that is true, you're going to run some logic inside that loop. Okay,
Where is my put?
and implements. I'm sorry. Implements. So as I said, Salesforce already defined a lot of system interface class. Okay, some messaging handler class, schedulable thing, batch classes, all this stuff. For running this classes, right, you have to implement it first. For implementing that functionality in your class, I have to implement them first. So if I want to send an email message, okay, if I want to handle some emails coming from other system, I have to use messaging dot inbound email handler. So this system interface method is useful to parse the existing means coming emails. I can get the subject, I can get the body, I can get the person who is sending email to me, all this information, and I can store the data inside this method. In my system, I can store in a custom object. For suppose if you have seen some requirement like this, for suppose if someone is sending an email to support at the rate of yaramclose.com, I want to create a case in my system. That's I am doing with means Salesforce. I have given that, but in the same way, if I want to implement, if I want to create a lead when someone is sending some email to sales at yaramclose.com, I can automatically create a lead system. That is not created by default by Salesforce. You have to do that by implementing message inbound handler class. Okay, instance of. So this method is useful to check a runtime whether this object is instance of this particular class or not. Okay, reports. If I'm checking, if I need to check whether the report is object is the instant of customer report or not, I will use this function there. Okay, and so for defining interfaces in the system, I can create interface keyword. Okay, with this. Okay, and I can even implement these interfaces whenever I need. Okay, yeah, and yeah, and the another important keywords which I'm going to discuss is the new keyword. Okay, if you want to create a new object or new record in the system, I have to create new. Click on new. Okay, I have to click on use the new keyword. Okay, for creating the new keyword or creating a new S object or any collection, I have to use this new keyword. Okay, why we use and this is the this keyword. Now keyword is used a lot in our system. Okay, to define some values. If there is no value for that, we can assign some null values to that. Okay, and override keyword is useful to overriding any virtual class, and which is being extended or implemented in the system. So I will show this scenario when we use this override method, okay, in our classes. So I'm just explaining these keywords now. So private, public, protected, I already shared you in the early, means in today's class only. And use return keyword to return some values in from any method, okay. If you are returning integer value, I have to define integer in the method definition, okay, integer. So that's the reason I'm returning integer values here. If I'm not returning any value, I will use void, okay. Um, yeah. So yeah, coming down to static. So if you want to define static methods, you use static keyword, and for invoking a super class from the subclass, means from the subclass, I can use the super keyword. So this invokes the superclass of this class. So this invokes the superclass constructor, means the parent class constructor from here, from this child class. And we also define test classes. Okay, sorry, we use test method for writing test classes inside system. So you define test class, and you use is test annotation to say that this is a test class. Inside that there are, you can define test methods like static text method, okay, and you create some you create some records in the system to parse the data and test whether the logic you are writing is true or not. And again, at the end of this test method, you validate whether the expected result is equal to the actual result or not. Okay, and test method. Okay, and this, so generally this represents the current instance of the class. Okay, and I can also use throw keyword to throw exception. Okay, I can throw exception inside the class with this throw keyword. Okay, on the page, and this transition keyword is generally useful to reduce the space. Okay, of the use state in the Visual Force controllers and extension classes, because Salesforce VF pages support 135 KB of use state. If the data what you are trying to load on the page is more than that, it won't respond properly and it shows use state error. Make sure we have to test this when you're trying real-time applications. You have to make sure that the data won't exceed 135 KB on the page. For reducing it, this is one of the best practice to use this keyword. Okay, and trigger. So we use trigger to define a trigger. This is a keyword for writing Apex triggers. We use this. This is trigger keyword, trigger name on which object. Yeah, this is the line to define the trigger. Hey, this is the trigger name, and this is on this object, and these are the events in this trigger. And this is the logic on account insert or before insert and before update. I am running this logic. This is the actual definition of the trigger. Okay, got it. Okay, true and false are the boolean values, and I can use this for assigning a value to the boolean variable. Okay, try, yeah, for implementing exception handling, try, catch, and finally. So we are using try keyword here. This indicates the block in which the exception can occur. If you feel that there is 10% chances of occurring an exception, yes, you put that logic inside try loop and you throw some exception with the catch loop. Okay, and yes, we have another way of throwing exception also by simply if the condition is if the logic is true, means if someone is validating if the wrong condition is validating, you can throw some exception by simply by throwing it with the throw method, throw keyword. Web service keyword useful for web service classes, okay, in a global web service class. This is useful before methods. While loop is useful to recur a number of times, right? This is also a loop. And with sharing. So with sharing, you can generally put in the class definition. So when I'm creating yesterday, when I'm creating a simple controller class, there is public with sharing class name is there. And the other option is public class name. If I'm using with sharing means, okay, um, it generally enforces sharing rules that apply to the current user, okay, and it shows the data. For suppose if I'm using without sharing, okay, so generally it enforces the data means what you're showing on the screen. Sharing rules are not enforced on this user when I'm trying to show the data. So this is the default mode. So if you're not defining any with sharing or without sharing, yeah, this is the default mode. Okay, this is the if you want to put without sharing, yes, you can use this. So the sharing rules will not be included, and it shows all the data. It shows the actual data of this user on the screen on the VF page. Okay, so yeah, the virtual keyword is useful to define a class. The class definition you use this. Okay, so you cannot override a method with this. Okay, you cannot override a method with the override keyword unless the current class or method has been defined as virtual. So the classes which can be extended or means need to override that class should be defined with virtual keyword, right? Yeah. And let's talk about annotations. I've used them. So there are around 6 to 7 annotations in Salesforce. This denotes different meaning. Okay. So when you are adding annotation before any method, you are adding some property to that. So if you want to add asynchronous execution for any method, after you add at the rate is at the rate future. So this now you are adding asynchronous execution feature for this method. So this method will now execute in future whenever you have some resources. Okay. And is test. This generally denotes the current class is test class. That's what means for defining a test class you have to put is test annotation. And there are some other annotations with additional parameters with is test only on install equal to true. When I'm trying to install the app exchange class, so the app exchange app, this generally runs all the test classes when you're installing this application, installing the package in your system. That you is useful for is test on install equal to true. Okay, right. And see all data equal to true is useful when you want to run some test class with some data with if you want to see the data like uh, the custom settings data to test your application, yes, you have to use the see all data equal to true. Okay, so you can access the data from your organization including the pre-existing data. Generally the request what you are writing it won't use the data what's available in the existing system. Okay, you're going to use the data what you are creating in the test class only and deprecate it. So the deprecated keyword is useful. The annotation is useful to make this particular method deprecated. Means you are saying that hey, we are not going to use this method in the coming days. So please don't use this method. So you make this them deprecated. Deprecated means it's destroyed method. Why we are using still keeping this method? Because some of the functions might be using this method, but in future don't use this method. That's what I'm saying it. So this implementation is generally used in app exchange packages. And read only. So if you are adding read only annotation, you are going to extend the limits of the query to 2 lakhs. General limit is 50,000. You can extend this limits to 2 lakhs because this is only read only operation. You are not writing any operation to this, right? Yeah. I'm going to use remote action tag when I want to add JS remoting or type of create JS remoting type of features from my um, when I want to call Apex method from a JavaScript and implement JS remoting. So automatically refreshing some component to show some new data on the page very frequently. Okay, give me a second, guys. Remote action for implementing JS remoting. Okay, on the VF page. Okay. Um, yeah. So this remote action is generally used means you're going to put this complete things inside the Apex classes before the method. That is add remote action. Okay. So for adding the remote action, this method should be static, and either public or global. Okay. And REST resource. REST resource is annotation is useful to make particular class. You are defining some URL for that, and this class can be called from any third-party system by hitting this URL like ep1.salesforce.com hash widget star. So means if you are calling with this URL, so this is the endpoint. Like so, or for all the people, the same is the endpoint because you are using the application as salesforce.com, right? Salesforce.com is a server, and at the end you are adding the widget. If they are calling this with proper organization means proper parameters, then you are going to call this method the global class method. So the current instance you have to pass here. People has to call with this URL https colon instance dot salesforce.com hash services hash rest with like that I have to call. Okay. So you are going to link this class with this URL. Whenever some guy is hitting this URL, you are going to call this class and execute some operations on the and execute some logic on inside the class. So you can create the records, you can share the records to the other system. Anything you can do. This is a part of web services means integration requirement. Okay, and coming down to the annotations like HTTP get, post, put, patch, delete. Yes, these are all the uh, annotations you can use inside the same method, the REST method, REST class method. Okay, so this can be used only inside this address REST resource. Okay, in the runtime. So sorry. Uh, for getting the information from other system, use do HTTP get. For posting, use HTTP post. HTTP delete for delete operation. So these features are you are enabling for that guy, so that that guys can use get, post, delete, patch, put methods to uh, to hit your URL and get the data according to its requirement. Okay. And coming down to the primitive types of Apex, yes, these are the primitive types. Blob means binary object, means it's a binary data stored in a single object. Okay. So when you're defining some images or some attachments, you use blob. Okay. And boolean value. So boolean value, it generally stores true or false. Okay. And date. So the date parameter, a primitive type, will generally save the date. So why we use this? When you are writing programming, you generally deal with variables, right? These are the primitive types. You can use it for using in the system to calculate date, time, all this stuff. Date, time for a particular day and time, you can use this. And you can also see the important variables, primitive types like string, double, long. All these are all the primitive types. See, decimal is also a primitive type. So the properties, the description of this is clearly mentioned here. So 12.4567, to define this value, you have to use the decimal primitive type, and this is assigned to my decimal variable. My decimal is the variable. This is the primitive type. Okay, this is the value which you are defining it. Okay, and double. So it's a 64-bit number that includes decimal point. The minimum value is minus 2 power 63. The maximum value is 2 power 63 minus 1. Same thing it goes for long. Sorry. So same thing it goes for sorry, one second. Yeah. So decimal is heavy stored in the small values. The bigger decimals will store in this double. Okay. Integer is the small value, but it's only accept integers. It won't accept decimals. Okay. It's a 32-bit number that the maximum value is this and minimum value is this. Okay. It is a 64-bit number that don't include the decimal point. So this is the extension of integer. Long is the extension of integer. Double is the extension of decimal. And ID, coming down to ID, Salesforce have 18-digit ID. When you are using this ID, and you each and every record in your system is unique. Okay, with the ID, the lead ID, account ID, opportunity ID, everything is unique in the system. Each and every record will be having 18-digit ID and appropriate 15-digit ID also. Means very similar 15-digit ID also. You can convert from 15-digit ID to 18-digit ID. There is a formula field for that, and even there is a online tools also for that. You can convert 15-digit ID to the 18-digit ID by some logic. Okay, the ID what you are accessing in the front end is 15-digit ID. When you're trying to access the same system from the back end from the API, you generally get the 18-digit IDs. Okay, and coming down to the string, this is the very basic means string and integer we use a lot, right? Long. This is it stores the set of characters, words. Okay, so this is storing these two words. You have to define this in like this. If you are storing a string like Venkat, string s equal to single quote Venkat, end of single quote, close it. Okay, and time, you can define the time, particular time, with this explanation. Okay, this is the time is also a primitive type. You can store the hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds into that. So, and coming down to collection types, yeah, these are very important in Salesforce. We use a lot: list collection type, map collection type, and set collection type. Okay, list collection type used to store the list of values, list of accounts, list of integers, list of strings, list of double, list of long values. Okay, like anything. Okay, it stores any type of value. I can say it's like array. Okay, so whenever you are assigning some values to the list, it stores in ordered format. That's called as ordered collection of primitive types, or as objects or collections. For suppose, you can also create the list of maps also. First of all, you created a map, and we have 20 maps in the similar way. Now I can insert all these 20 maps into the list. Now it become list of maps. Again, each map I can actually query it, all this stuff. I can also create list of list items also, list of sets. I can do that. These are all collection types. So coming down to this list, I have a special class designed for these three things. It may take 1 hour each. Okay, so I will going to demo the things, if how to access the methods, how to. There are some functions also with each and every collection type. Okay, list dot add. You are adding the value into this. This is a string. See, list of strings. My list equal to new list of string. Now my list is a list of strings. My if I want to add some values, as I have to add like this. If I want to get the values from this list, yes, I have to get values with get method. Add for adding, get for getting. Zero, what is zero? Zero is the index. If I am sharing four values into my list, the index will be 0, 1, 2, 3. First value, you have to use 0. Second value, you have to use 1. That's the index. This is the list of accounts. Now, ACC will be having 1000 accounts in my ACC list of account. Coming down to map is like a key pair value you're going to store in a set of values. Okay, for suppose you can store a number of values like that. For suppose you have employee id and employee name. In this case you can store uh, map string comma string. You send employee id to the first key, the value you put as employee name. Same way you will insert these records. How to insert the records into the map dot put employee id comma employee name. Map dot put employee id 1 comma employee id 1, employee name 1. Map dot put employee id 2 comma employee name 2. Same way I am putting a lot of values into the map. I can query the values from the map. See here, m is the map, right? Now m dot get employee id, I'll get the value. First of all, I insert the value with the two values, key and value. Later on I can query the values from the key, because everything, all the keys are unique inside the system. Because I cannot insert the duplicate key. If I'm inserting like this, it will update the previous key. Okay, and there's other way of creating the map also, like this. See, map string string my sys equal to new map string string. Insert the curly brackets. A belongs to B, C belongs to D. C means, this means A is the key, B is the value, C is the key, D is the value. Now there are two values inside this map. Okay, now if I want to query the value of A, uh, mys dot get A. That's a simple method to query the value, that is B. Okay, yeah, and there are a lot of string methods to convert into uppercase, lowercase, and to sort, to trim, to concatenation, all this stuff. Yeah, you can explore all this stuff. When I can also show you some of the things. Okay, when I'm trying to show the apex examples. Okay, and set is very similar, 100% similar to set, but there's only one major difference. Set won't store the duplicate values. That makes this as an ordered set. For suppose in this list I'm entering some values like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, again I'm inserting 5 6 7 again three times. What happens? It insert the values like 10 values in the system, but here it shows only 7 values because 5 6 7 is already there in the system. That's the reason it won't insert these values into the system, because they are duplicate values. Now this set will be having 7 values like 1 to 7. This list will be having 10 values like 1 to 7, again 5 6 7, right? So the methods, everything is same for both of these things. If you want to convert list of values into unique values, yes, I can copy from list to set. It automatically makes the new set as a unique values, and I can copy back again from set to list. Now I'm converting from the duplicate values into the unique values. Again I'm copying it back to the original set, which is having unique values. Okay, so this don't accept the duplicate values. And let's start with the trigger context variables. Okay, so why we use triggers and when we use them. Okay, coming down to triggers. For suppose if your business requirement cannot be done with validation rules or workflow rules, you are going to pick triggers. What are triggers? Triggers are actions where based on some event it gonna execute it. Okay, this code will be executed. Okay, for suppose if you want to do some operation after insert on account object, I want to do some operation. I want to automatically create a contact with the same names like that I have to do. That's my requirement. Can I do this with workflow rule? No. Can I create a new object with workflow rule? No. Yes. I have to create so I can create this requirement with trigger, not with workflow rules or validation rules or anything. What I will do is I will create after insert trigger on account object, and I will take the values of the account object and create the similar contact record which is mapped to the same account object. That trigger is available in my application where I have given access to you. Okay, so these are all the events. I can do some operation before insert. So see, is insert means before insert. These are all trigger context variables to validate. In the if loop, if I says, hey, if is insert, is insert is simple trigger context variable which returns true or false. If the record what you are inserting is, if the record is inserting, it returns true. If the record is updated, it returns false. That's the reason these variables are important, really important in trigger. So this is simply written a boolean value, true or false. Okay. If you want to check whether a trigger, if you want to write some logic for is insert and is before means when I'm trying to insert account object only before that execution, my trigger will be executed. My logic will be is insert and is before. I can use that. And new. Yeah, I think if you want to read me out all this stuff, I will do it. Is executing, it tells whether the trigger is executing or not. Is inserting, it says whether the current instance is inserting or not with the current records. Is update will tell you whether the current records are getting updated or not. Is delete the same way. Is before, it's before or is it before or after? It will tell is before or after. Is under it if that is restoring back to the recycle bin or not. And new map, old map are, see, new and old are a list of records. New means currently if you are working on account object, it generally stores the new records into the account object. Old means it generally stores the old values. When you are trying to update or when you're trying to delete the values, right? What are values in the system? They are old, right? When you're trying to update the value, there are two copies now, the old copy and new copy. To store the old values, I will store in this. Automatically, Salesforce is giving this ability to access the old records also by simply clicking on old. And new old map is useful to see the old values in a map. I can get with their ID is the key and the complete values of that object in the values. Okay, right. Give me a second. Yeah, back. Yeah, so the new map. So again, the one thing I have to show here is in the new, what happens. So this new records will be available for insert and for update, right? Coming down to old records, old old list is only available for update and delete only, because there is no new values coming up in the system, right? Yes, for update there is a new values also. For delete there is only old values. For insert there is only new values. Okay, this is a simple logic, right? When you're inserting a record, there is no old values for this record. When you're updating the record, there is new as well as old. When you're deleting your, there's no new values. You are simply deleting the old records. Okay. The same applies for the new map also. For the it's very close to new. This is a list. This is a map. Same applies to old and old map also. Old is the list. Old map is the map. Okay. Old map is a map of old values. And size. This method is used a lot for checking the map size or list size. So this method is useful. I will show this method. So I thought of explaining this thing in list map size set implementations. Okay, when I have a special demo for this, in that case I will be using this size a lot to check the size of the list or map or anything. Again, you know that old and new are a list. If you want to check how many records are inserted into the system, simply click on new dot size. It's okay. And coming down to means, again I'm not saying all the new records are inserted. All the new records is the combination of inserting as well as updating. Okay, if you want to get the size of the old records, old dot size will bring you the size of the old records. And let's talk about the DML operations in Apex language, what all we use it. Okay, so it's not that complex here. We use simple insert, delete, merge, undelete, delete, update, and in upset. These are the operations you use extensively in DML operations. Insert for inserting the new record. See what happens here, lead L equal to new lead, and you are passing the data into this lead object and you are clicking on insert L. Now you automatically inserting the lead record into the system. You can insert one or more rows with the insert keyword. I can insert list of 100 account records with a simple statement. First of all, I have to create the list of accounts in a list. Okay, and that list I can simply use I insert that list. If I pass that list into here, it automatically inserts all the 100 records. Delete is also the same way. I can insert one or more rows. So in this scenario I am inserting only one. Yeah, in this system I am inserting the list of accounts. See, so list of doomed accounts. What are doomed accounts? Doomed accounts are the accounts with .com. Okay, now I want to remove all the .com accounts. See, all the name where name equal to .com. So I'm going to get all the items into this list called doomed accounts. So in the try catch I am writing the delete doomed accounts. Why I am using try catch here? Because if there are some active approval process or active workflow rules and this current object, it won't allow you to delete the account object. That is the reason my trigger, sorry, I am using the try catch block here. So it's really good practice to use try loop when you are inserting or deleting or merging or updating, inserting, upsetting, undeleting everything. Okay, and automatically the exception will be handled with the catch block, and you can print the exception and pass the error message to the screen with the add error method. There is a simple method called add error. The exception you can pass it to that method, which automatically adds the error message onto the screen. Okay, so merge is the combination of delete and in the requirement of merge is if there are two records with Acme, so that's the requirement is here. So I'm creating a two accounts. The one is with Acme Inc and another is Acme. Okay, I'm inserting the list. So see, this is how I'm doing it. The line still here means I'm creating a list of two records with Acme Inc and Acme. I insert in this list. After that, the master record. I'm getting the master record with select ID name with Acme Inc. I want to make Acme Inc as the master record, and I want to merge the Acme into the Acme Inc. So the merge account I'm creating for searching for Acme, and I'm limiting one because to get only one record. So now master account will be having the Acme ANC, the merge account will be having Acme only. What happens? I'm trying simple logic. See, this is the actual line for merging it. So first of all, merge is the keyword you have to use. Later, after that, you have to use the master account. Later on, you have to use the other accounts. Okay. Now what happens? The merge account will be automatically merged with the master account, and the master is the account which is available after this completion. What happens is merge account will be deleted from the system, and the data from the merge account will be copied down to the master account if there's no values in the master account. For suppose the city value in master account is blank, but thus in the merge account is available. In that case, the city account will only be copied into the system. The additional information will be copied from the child account, this merge account, and copied down to the master account. If there is any exceptions, yes, it throws some exception with catch block. And undelete for restoring the record from the system. Okay, how to get undelete? So first suppose there is a query to get all the records which are deleted and which are available in my system. Whenever you are deleting some records from the system, it's not completely deleted, it's still available in the backend. Okay, with the simple option checkbox called is deleted equal to true. So when I'm searching a query, select id name from account where name equal to trim, and all rows means it generally shows all rows means it generally shows all the records which are available in the system, all the rows available in the system as well as the removed records from the system also. Okay, so when I'm doing this operation, I'm getting all the rows which are removed from the system also. What I'm simply doing is I'm undeleting the record, undeleting the saved record. I know. So what happened in this scenario is it's not the exact scenario. What happens? I know the Trump is deleted from my system, from my account object. If you want to restore, yes, select ID name from account where name equal to trim. All rows means it generally shows the record from the recycle bin also. Then I'm trying to undelete the operation. Undelete saved accounts means if there are two Trump records which are deleted from my account object, yes, it will go back again, restore into the account object after this operation. If there is any issues, yes, my catch exception will be thrown, and I can see the exception on the page. And update. So update is for updating the record. In this scenario, I'm trying to update the billing city. I'm simply calling update and the account name which I'm trying to update, my account. Okay. First of all, I'm trying to query the data in the system with the my account. So this is the account already inserted into the system. Okay. Account Acme 2, and I'm trying to query the data by select ID name from billing city from account where name equal to Acme 2 limit 1. There's only one record coming to my account, and that my account I am assigning some billing city, that is San Francisco. After assigning this value, I am simply calling update my account, that automatically updates the account with the new billing information, that billing city information. Same thing will upset. Upset is a combination of insert as well as update. So coming down to this scenario, here I am trying to uh, query the values of all the billing cities with Bombay. Okay, and later on for account A colon account list. Okay, I am trying to means the account list is the list which I queried here. I am trying to update the values. A dot billing city equal to Mumbai. So because you know that the name is changed from this to this, I am modifying the data. I'm modifying a.billing city equal to Mumbai. And after that, in the same list, new account, Acme, billing city San Francisco. Okay, this new account is added to the ACCLST, the old list only, because in this list, if there are four values with Bombay, now the Bombay four values will be updated to Mumbai. I know that. And in this line, I'm inserting a new item which is not inserted into the system. 4 plus 1, 5 records are there in the current accounts list. Out of these 5 accounts, 4 are old values, 1 is the new value. I simply call upset account list, will automatically insert 1 record and update 4 records. Any exception? Yes, my exception will throw from the cache block. Okay. And coming down to standard interfaces, okay, uh, database.batchable for implementing batch classes. Batch classes are useful to do some bulk operation on millions of records. Okay, I'm going to run some script. I'm going to run some script in the execute method of the batch class, which automatically update all the records at once. I can schedule this batch clause at some point of time, like 5 o'clock in the morning, with the schedule apex. I can do that. So these are all the system interface methods you can extend, so you can implement this. Okay, and same way, messaging the inbound handler is also the similar type of method to handle inbound emails. And yeah, comparable object like compare to, which you can compare the object to the one object with other object and check whether it's different or not. Okay. Standard class and methods. Okay, and some of the standard classes and methods. Yeah, some of the standard classes and methods are like this. Okay, so as I said, when you are trying to test the application, you're going to use asset not equals to, asset equals to, and asset methods to test your expected values to the actual values in the test classes. Okay. And current page reference is the standard method of Salesforce, where you can just get the current page reference into your Apex class. Okay. Current time in milliseconds, I can get it. System.debug is the statement. So yeah, this is the class and this is the methods. System.abort job, you can kill the job. System.asset, you can compare two results. System.asset equals to, if you know the value what you are expecting, yes, you can pass it through system.asset equals to. System.asset not equals to, yeah, if you want to validate in a wrong way, means if you know that you won't get the value 0, then I can say system not equals to 0. That's a wrong way of expecting the values. Okay, the reverse way of expecting some value. If you know that the value what you are expecting is not equal to 0, yes, I can use this type of, and that in this scenario I can use not equals to. And these are all some other methods to check whether debug log for showing the information on the page debug logs is running test to check whether the test is running. System.now will print the date of the current date and time. Okay. System.process will tell you the process. Okay. Means the approval, current approval process and all this stuff. Process is the approval process object. Okay. If you want to reset the password, you can call the reset password. Okay. And running as some different users, scheduling, batching, set password, all this stuff is system methods. Okay. Coming down to the math, these are all the math functions. You can use it inside your Apex class. Most of them are available even in the formula fields also, where if you can do your requirement with formula fields automation, yes, you can do it. You don't need to write any code. But if you want to write some advanced logic than that, yes, you're going to pick some Apex classes. There is one requirement. The requirement can be done with formula fields. Okay, but what happened is my formula field is becoming more than 5,000 characters of line. More than 5,000 characters. Formula field generally supports 4,000 characters only. Okay, if it is becoming more than, okay, I have to implement the logic in triggers. The same logic in triggers I have to implement. Right? I have to calculate this field from my Apex trigger or Apex class also sometimes. These are all the math methods, and these are all the describe methods of Salesforce. When you are trying to implement dynamic Apex, you can describe objects. You can get the object information of the current object. You can, yeah. So you guys can uh, check whether the current field, current object is creatable. So if you don't have permissions to create a record inside account object, the describe dot is creatable on the current account object is false. So, so these are all some methods, describe methods to check whether you have permission to do that or not. Based on that result, I'm going to do some operations. Otherwise, I don't want to do that. If I don't have create permission on the account object, I don't want to create. That's what I'm going to use these methods. Is queryable, is updatable, is deletable, is accessible. Um, these are all is mergeable, is undeletable. These are all permissions on the account object. I can get the local name of that object by get local name, get label. This is when you're dynamically querying some objects. I can get this information dynamically with the describe method. Okay, and I can also describe the field result also. The field length, what it can accept. The field default values I can show it on. I can get it from my Apex by this field describe field result. Okay, so this is one example I'm showing at the end. Schema dot describe field result f equal to schema dot as object dot account fields dot name. Now you're going to get the properties of account name, account dot name. Okay, so for that you have to use this schema dot as object dot account dot fields dot name. The description about this field will be shown in this f. Okay, I can use this f now to check it. And there are different log levels um, in Apex. Okay, one is error, warning, info, debug, find, finer, finest. So these are six, seven debug log levels. So when you're trying to debug the code, okay, these are different debug log levels. When you're trying to debug your code with debug logs, if you want to get the um, very detailed logs, you have to go with the finest. If you want to see only errors on the logs, yes, simply select the error log level. Now you're going to see only the error information on the page. If you want to see errors plus warnings also, you have to select the second level. If you want to see some more information with errors, warnings, and informations, yes, I have to use these three things. If you want to use the system.debug statements also, debug results also, have to use the first means. If I'm selecting debug log level, it automatically shows errors, warnings, informations, and debug also. If I'm selecting finest, it shows very detailed way of all the logs in this on my debug logs. The number of lines means on what way it's executing, the line numbers also it will show it. And these are some other methods to get the query limits. Okay, these are all describe method only. I can get the query limits, number of callouts left, number of DML rows left, the CPU time used currently. All this information I can get this by seeing this information. You can simply tell that, okay, get future calls. You can get the future calls, okay, used in the system. and this is get limit future calls. The remaining limit you can get it, the actual limit you can get it, and the limit what you use it you can get future calls, and you can subtract it for the remaining limits left. And coming down to the user info, yes, these are all the important user info. Uh, User info is the class, and this is the methods inside it. Get default currency of the user, get first name of the user, get long name of the user, get last name of the user. So it depends on the method name. What else you want, you can use that particular method. For get local information, simply call userinfo.get locally. For getting name, userinfo.get name. Same way you can call this other information also. And if you want to know whether multi-currency is enabled in your system or not, userinfo is multi-currency uh, organization. Yes, it shows true or false. Based on that, I can go ahead with my logic. Okay, and asset equals to, see, this is how you can use asset equals to. So asset equals to English US result. So if I'm expecting the current language as English US, I have to use this particular system.asset equals to. This line you are going to use in your test methods, saying system.asset equals to, this is your expected result. So in single quotes you are mentioning en hyphen us, English en underscore us, and the result is coming from the database. See, string result equal to user info dot get locally. You are getting information from the user class, user info class, and get locally information, and that result you are storing in a simple string. That string you are going to use in system.asset equals to. So means if that is true, if that is a French, it shows error. If that is English, it shows true. It shows true. Otherwise, it will throw some error on the test class, because there is some error on the test class, because the expected result is not equal to your, the expected result is not equal to the result. So that means your thing is wrong. Your class so your code is having some problem. You have to recheck it. Yeah, that's it, guys. So we are done with the general, very means most of the things what we are going to use in Apex classes. So I will, first of all, I will show how to create classes, how to create syntax from starting from line number 1 to how to create pages. Okay, first we'll be showing you the uh, basic Visual Force examples without Apex classes. Later on, we are going to show demo like with Apex classes also. Means connecting Visual Force pages with your Apex classes, and later on, we are going to work on triggers also. Okay, that requirement I will be start working from tomorrow's class. Okay, that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I'll be in the call for next 10 minutes.
What time is tomorrow?
Yeah, give me a second. Uh, yes. Can you speak now? Hey, can you speak now?
Tomorrow, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I can.
So tomorrow the class in what time?
Yeah, the same time, the general time that starts at 7 p.m. CST, 8 p.m. EST.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from where we can get it access for the this sheet? Do you have a PDF file? Can you send us as well?
These cheat sheets.
Yes.
Yes, I already showed you in yesterday's class. Um, so I will send out an email on that. So I will show you the
Okay.
navigation links for that. Actually, I have shared you one enterprise developer instance, so you guys can log in there. And the reason why I'm sharing this is the programming examples, right? So even though if I said you in the class, if I'm teaching you on class, you can't get the code means directly. So that's the reason I'm sharing you the same edition what I'm using with a different user license. So you guys can access all the programming language, programming code, and even the these documents also from charter files. I'll show that to you. I'll show that to you. So I will send you that login information now. So Ravi, can you put on that login information on onto the chart window? Yeah. So I'm logging into the Salesforce application. So you have access to the same organization. What I'm saying is click on charter. I can send out this document, but what means because there's a lot of the documents also in this instance. When I'm clicking on charter, I am clicking on files, all files. See, when I'm clicking on all files, yes, I have seen a lot of documents here. See, these are all. If you scroll down, you can see the cheat sheets for Apex in the today's class, which I said you. The cheat sheet for Visual Force programming also, which I said you yesterday's and half of the cheat sheet in today's class. And same way, I can see the cheat sheets for other Charter API, REST API, security, formulas, analytical for reporting analytics API. Okay, so I am asking you to download. Click on this, download. Or else you can click on this, it takes to the page, and you can download that also. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he shared the username and password for you. You can try logging in. So there is two things. One is Gmail account. Why I'm sharing Gmail is if it's asking some 5-digit passcode, yes, you can log into Gmail and get the 5-digit passcode, and you can put down in this. Yeah. So Akshay shared you the cheat sheets link also in developer.salesforce.com. You can even use that. Yeah, this is a good link again. Yeah, right. Developer.salesforce.com hash page hash cheat sheets. You can download the cheat sheets from here directly. Okay. And for additional documents, yes, again, you can even use this Salesforce charter files also. Okay. Right. Any other questions? Yeah. Thanks actually for sharing that link. Yeah. Thanks, guys. We'll meet in tomorrow's class. Okay. Right.